one of the things that was really motivating for me when I went on my functional medicine journey was to have something very concrete to work with, something that I could see and something that I could act on. And within the conventional healthcare system, there are quite a lot of limitations to what doctors can actually offer when it comes to tests. And the reason for that is because they're quite expensive, and in some cases, they only treat the acute things. They don't look at just imbalances and try to optimize imbalances to build health. But in functional medicine, that is exactly what we do. We try to look at all the imbalances in your body and we try to adjust and calibrate those. So within GrowHealth, we use 3 tests. So the goal with all of this is to basically give you a full 360-degree view of your genes, your biology, and your microbiome. When I went through functional medicine myself, I had a lot more, and I spent a lot more on tests. But the ones that I have here are the ones that I personally felt were the most valuable. You can always later go on and add a lot more and go to other practitioners and get a lot more detail and spend a lot on tests. But my goal here is to pinpoint and give you the ones that I personally thought were the most valuable and that gave me very clear insights into how I could move forward with purpose and intent. So the 3 tests that I recommend are one called DNA Core. And this is a genetic test that reveals how your genes can influence nutrition, detoxification and methylation, inflammation and oxidative stress, diet and exercise response, and also a lot more. And the cool thing about this test is that it gives you a big report that is all based on all your genetics, and it's something you can have as a framework for life. And when you later in GrowHealth put this into the AI and it crosses this with all the other test data, you can get a lot of valuable insights. The second test, which in my opinion is the most important of all, is the GI-MAP Zonulin test. And this checks everything regarding microbial imbalances, like bacteria, yeast, viruses, parasites, and so on. And also zonulin, which is a leaky gut marker that can give you an indication in case you have some sort of chronic disorder with your gut. It's very often linked to that marker. There are also inflammatory markers, which are often linked to a bunch of diseases like ulcerative colitis and so on. Ultimately, it is a very important piece of analysis data. So one important thing about all of these tests is that they're not meant as diagnostic tools. They're meant as analysis tools. So in that way, you and I, who are not doctors, were allowed to use this data, to act on this data on our own free will and responsibility, so to speak. And the next and final test is a hair element analysis test. This takes a little piece of your hair and it looks at all your minerals. It looks at the proportions of these minerals to look at what is optimal and what is dysfunctional. And then it also looks at your heavy metals. And then within GrowHealth, we can then have very targeted strategies on how to address, how to detoxify, and how to support these things. So those are all the most important tests that we cover and the reasons why.